Ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago I introduced to you a product that we have been working on, and we are calling it Ardhipro. Ardhi is a Swahili name for land. Now, this project is for the people who normally buy land in bulk and then you subdivide it and you sell. And the reason why we decided to build this app is because we noticed that so many of such businesses are being closed down. And we noticed that the reason why they are being closed down is because they are not able to track their expenses properly. They see that they have sales in terms of the money coming in and things like those, and they think the company is doing well, only to notice that at the end of it they have made serious amounts of losses. So we decided to build this application, and I want to take you through it today. I want to first of all clear all the data because I can see that I have some data there. I would like us to start from scratch. So let me go here and then I remove all the data from the system. It has been scheduled for deleting, and then I can go back here. When it's deleted, you'll see that everything else will give you a 0 here. And I think that is what we are seeing. There are 3 plots here that I also need to delete. I hope those are going to go without any issues, and they have. Now, one thing that I would like us to look at is the reports, because the reports, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on this profit and loss statement. Now, this is how it looks currently. There is nothing here. No project selected because we don't have a project, but these are the settings we have up there. I will open this in a new tab, and I will go to the first thing that we need to do is to create a project. So we have this document here that we are calling project creator. Click on that and then click on create a project. Give your project a name, like for example Karani test project 1. This is supposed to be your project. In fact, let me do something like Naivasha breeze. The way those guys normally give those things fancy names that are really welcoming. So Naivasha breeze, I hope that is as welcoming as the ones that they normally create. Then here is the purchase price that you bought the land at. We can say maybe you bought the land at 1 million Kenya shillings. With those 2 things, you can go ahead and save this document. When you save, you notice that a number of things have shown up. For example, here we have a balance. That means this is tracking the balance of this project, how much has been paid, how much has not been paid. And here we have the total paid, which of course is 0. We have the project status, which is pending at the moment. Then here we have total project cost, which is at the moment 1 million. Then we have gross sales, and then we have the difference amount. Difference amount I'm going to be explaining to you in a bit. Down here we have value addition details. Value addition is basically when you go and you buy land. Sometimes you may need to go and beacon it. You may need to clear the bushes. You may need to, let me see the other things that I have in the selection here. You may need to do something like subdivision. Of course, you have to subdivide because we said this is for the guys who are buying, subdivide, selling. But even if you don't subdivide, you can just use the system. Then you have surveying. All these are some of the things that you can do for value addition of your land, and they are expenses. Now, let's say for example we did beaconing, and the beaconing costed us 23,000. If we do that and we save, I want you to see what happens to this project cost and also this balance here, and even the difference amount. When we save, everything goes up. The project cost remains the same. It's 1 million because that's the amount we paid to get the project, or rather that's the amount we are going to pay to get that land. But then when we got in there, we did so many other things. Like we did what? We did beaconing. Then we went and did bush clearing. And then we went ahead and did what? Maybe surveying. And those are even enough. These are just examples, ladies and gentlemen. You can add your own value addition items there. So let's say bush clearing took 45,000. And then surveying took 78K. We save. This will do the recalculation, and these things are going to be updated accordingly. Now, if you submit this, because as you can see, these things keep adding up. So you can keep changing this document, adding new value additions until when you are done, and now you want to go and submit this thing so that you can start selling these plots. So you cannot start selling these plots until when you finish this document. You create that project, you add all the value additions to that project so that you have the valuation of individual plots. So once you finish this is what you're going to use to do the valuation of a plot. So we need to submit to tell the system that we have finished doing this so that they can create for us the plots. So you are going to see here there is going to be plots, and also a project is going to be created. Now notice that at this stage I have not put anything in the plot details down here, and also the difference amount here is saying negative 1146,000. If I click on submit and I confirm, it tells us you cannot submit this document without adding records of plot details. What that means is that down here we need to tell the system what kind of plots did we get from this system. All right, it can be 50 by 100, and then we did 40 by 80. So you can even get many types of plots in one land, or you can get just one. For example, you can get 850 by 100s if it's 1 acre, or you can get 750 by 100s and 2 maybe 40 by 80s if it was maybe slightly above 1 acre. You guys know how you normally divide this thing. Then number of plots, let's say for example 50 by 100 we got 5, and this one we got like maybe 3. Okay, this is just an example again. Then these two figures you can just put anything so that you can be able to save. I'll show you what they mean, save. Now the difference account now is telling us that it is 876,000. Let's go ahead and try to submit it now because we already have put details inside the plot details. Submit this and confirm. It then says that the difference amount must be 0. Why have I done that? We have done that because this difference amount is what is tracking the valuation of these plots to ensure that this valuation added up will total to this. This will ensure that you are not making a loss when you are selling. I'm going to be showing you how we are capturing whether you are making a profit or a loss later in this video. Now here, the system forces you to enter values here that make sense because it's going to use them to know each 50 by 100. For example, you have 5, but what is the value of 150 by 100? Okay, now what I normally do is this. I normally take this. Let me pull up a calculator, guys, so that I can show you. It has pulled up in a different screen. I bring it here. So I normally take this 1146 and what 1000, and then I just divide by 8. So I just want to see what is the average cost of one plot because there are 8 plots, 5 and 3. Okay, so this is 143,000. Now, of course, the 50 by 100s are going to be more expensive than 40 by 80. Yeah. So I can say, for example, 40 by 80, the cost is 120,000. Then I can save this. Remember, I'm doing this because I'm not really a land seller, so I'm just trying to make sure that this amount balances. So when I do that, now I have 3 40 by 80s costing 120,000. So where do I delete this thing? I don't know. I can just, okay, maybe that does it. So now I can do 120,000, and then I multiply this by 3 to get the total valuation of these 3 plots. And then I can go ahead and subtract this 1146,000 to get the balance, and the balance is this. Then I can just divide that by 5 to know the value of each 50 by 100 plots, which is coming to this 157,200. So if I do this here and then I save, now you see that the difference account is 0. Now what did I do here? I was just trying to get the valuation rate of each of these plots. And remember, the valuation rate, it's putting in consideration your purchase price and your expenses. Now, this is where very many real estate companies are going wrong. You are not considering these expenses when you are deciding how much you're going to sell this thing at. And that is why you find that most of them are closing down because of those expenses. All right, so when you force it like this, it is going to track this for you, and you can only submit this document when this thing becomes 0, meaning that all these things are making sense to you and even to the system. We go ahead and now we submit. Okay, it tells us that I don't have to think about that. Then here, like I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we have one project created and we have 8 plots created. We are not interested in the project at the moment. We are only interested in these plots. We are done with this document. Naivasha Breeze 2025 is done. If I click on this link, I'll be able to see all the plots that have been created, and you can see their status is available. So all these plots have not been sold. Now, how do I sell a plot? I sell a plot by going here. For example, let's say someone has come and they have left number 3. So we click on it, it will come here, and then up here we have a button that says actions. Click on it, and then it says sell plot. If you click on sell plot, it comes here. Sell amount. How much are you selling this plot? Let's say we are selling it at 150,000. And we are selling it to Karani. Now, notice that the system has picked the valuation rate of that plot automatically. Remember? So this is 157,200. So if I try to sell this plot at 150, definitely, without being told, I'm making a loss, right? Let's see whether the system will accept. When I try to save, it tells me that sale amount must be greater than 5% profit of valuation. That is minimum acceptable is 165,060 because force minimum profit is enabled in settings. What is this thing talking about? We have a document, and I don't want to leave this one. I can open a new tab. If I go to Ardhipro and I go to settings, there is this sales account it's this account settings. If I click on that, there is this checkbox that we have here that says force minimum profit at 5%. All these things can be changed. I can decide to make this 10. Okay, if I save 10 and if I change it to 10 and save, and now I come here, you see this one on 165 and this one was 5. If I save again, now this has raised the thing to 10% and 172,000. Now it is doing that because it has been told here to force minimum profit. If I remove and I save and I come here and I try to save this, it's going to allow me to save this thing. It happens because of course those times when you have sold all the plots and there is one of them that is left and you just want to dispose it off. So sometimes you can even sell it at a lower price than the valuation rate. You have already probably made your money. So that's why we added this checkbox here. And then here, this is what helps you to automatically track how much profit do I want for every plot. So you can give it as a percentage and say, I want at least 7%. I want at least 7% profit for every sale. You can do whatever percentage you want here. It's up to you, right? Then you save. Before I leave this document, you can see that we have as other accounts, but I will not be going into the details of this. I'm going to be going into the details of those by the people that show interest. This is accounting details. I'm going to be demoing that later to the people that show what? Show interest. So let me go back here. And then I click on, is this first? Yes, first. Let me go ahead and, so this was saved, but we didn't want to save at 150,000. So let me try and do something, and then I try to be faking it, and then I go. So this is requiring me to do at least 168,000 and something. So let me sell it at 169,000. Okay, then I save. Now you notice that although these ones are checked, because I'm not selling my plot at a loss, the system has accepted to save it. Then I click on submit. It wants to confirm whether I really want to submit it, and then I click on yes. When I do that, you notice that now in the profit and loss, we still don't have anything. Why? Yes, we have sold a plot, but we have not received any money. So we cannot start changing the profits. We don't have profits yet. People have not paid. So what has happened? If you go to the chart of accounts and you expand it, you will notice that something has happened. Debtors have increased by 169,000. That is the 169,000 that we sold this plot at. See this one. And you also notice that in the plot sale, we're also tracking the balance and the amount that has been paid. I'm going to show you that in a bit. So one, debtors has been affected. I'm going to be going into the details of that. And then number 2, let's go down here. We have another account that has been affected, and this is unearned revenue. So unearned revenue has been affected because you have made a sale, but you have not actually earned that money. So that's why we are putting that money in an account called unearned revenue. Now, when you go here, you can now decide that I want to receive a payment. And remember that sometimes you receive the payment in full, other times you receive the payment in halves. Okay, so let's not receive this thing in full. Let's just receive something like maybe 30,000 from this. So go here again. It's not like a move here, move there thing. every document is interlinked. So you can see I'm not really doing a lot of movement within the system. So I just click on actions and then I click on receive payment. When I do receive payment, the system comes with everything pre-populated. The plot, the valuation rate, it's still there with you. The sale amount is this one. And then here, the amount paid, it has pre-populated the balance. So we are saying we are not paying everything, we are paying 30,000. And then here you need to tell the system to which account has the money gone. Let's say it has gone to this Equity Bank account. And before that, let's see what is in that Equity Bank. Currently, Equity Bank has nothing inside. Yeah. So when I receive this money into Equity, I save and submit. This now has become a payment. Let's first of all see what has happened in the chart of accounts. And I go here. Now we have a debit of 30,000 in Equity. We have debtors reducing by 30,000 from 169 to 139,000. You remember that? Then Equity, yes. Then the other thing that has been affected is to an account we are calling land inventory. And land inventory has been affected by an amount of 27,905.33. How did the system calculate that? The system calculated that from the valuation rate we had. Remember that we had valuation rate and we have the sale price. So when you receive an amount of 30,000, for you to be able to get the accurate profit that you have to do a percentage of whatever valuation that is there, so that the land inventory is going to be affected by that amount. And this same amount is going to affect, ladies and gentlemen, when I go down there, is going to affect the cost of goods sold. And that's how we're able to get the exact profit that you get from this thing. Because if we captured all the valuation rate, then the system is going to show as if you are making a loss, and it's just because someone has made a partial payment. Yeah. So it will not really be a loss. Yeah. And if I go back to the document that we had here, ladies and gentlemen, you see now the total paid is saying it's this, and the balance is this, and the payment status is partly paid. So we are tracking all those things. Let's see how our reports look like. This was our profit and loss before we received the money. If I refresh, now we have total income of this, or total income of 30,000, sorry. We have expenses. Now this becomes an expense after you have sold the plot. And it has captured the expense of the valuation of that plot that you have sold. It's not everything, because we just sold one plot. And by the way, not the valuation of the plot that you have sold, is the valuation of the part of the plot that has been paid. This is why I was saying, if we receive the valuation of like 157 here, when someone has paid 30,000, this is going to show a loss when it is actually not a loss. So we were clever enough to get a percentage depending on how much is the valuation and how much is the value of how much you are selling the entire plot. Then doing a computation of that gives us the exact profit that you have at every instance. Ladies and gentlemen, that is awesome. Now, that's not all. You can also get this profit by project. So if I go here now, you can see that we have Naivasha Breeze. If I click on it, you can see the profit remains the same, because of course that's the only transaction we have made. That's why we have that profit there, even when the project is selected. Coming down here, we have the breakdown of that. Again, I don't want to go into the details of that, but you can see the gross profit is 2,094, what we have there. If you go to the chart of accounts, this one I think I did. So accounts that have been affected, ladies and gentlemen, is the cost of goods sold. We have sales by 30,000. We have an earned revenue reducing from 169,000 to 139,000. Remember, an earned revenue was revenue that was not earned and you had made a sale. So now it's 139,000. All right. Then the other thing that we have here is what? Let's go up. We have land inventory. I had already showed you that. And then we have bank being affected, and also definitely debtors being affected. Let's see what is happening with this data. If I go here and I look for customer, remember we sold this thing to this guy called Karani here, and then I view his accounting ledger. Here you see that what we have is this. We have an income or invoiced amount of 169,000. We have a paid amount of 30,000, and then we have an outstanding amount of 139,000. So this gives you accurate reports, ladies and gentlemen. You are not missing anything here. All right. So this is the amount that this customer owes you, and you can also see the aging of the same customer up here. So whatever is between 0 and 30 is only 139,000 Kenya shillings. That's it for this one. Now, what if there is an expense outside of that? Because remember, what we have done so far is capture the plot, the land, everything. Then we enter the expenses of the whole thing. What if there is another expense? Like, for example, I transported people to the land to see, to view, or maybe somebody delivered something to the office and it's associated to a specific project. We have this document here we call project expenses. Click on it. Then click on create. Select your project. Expense category, You can select, for example, transport. Paying account, you can say I'm paying from Equity Bank, and I want to see what is the balance of Equity Bank at the moment. Chart of accounts, Equity Bank is at, let's see, it's at 30,000, the amount we received into that account. And then here we have an amount that we want to pay for this thing. Maybe it's 250 shillings, and then the expense date is today, and we can say paid the bike guy for delivering ABC. All right, so the bike guy delivered that thing. You save it, and then you go ahead and you do what? You submit. Once you do that, ladies and gentlemen, that has been captured. First thing, let's see what happens to Equity. We refresh, and then you go here, you check. Your Equity Bank has reduced by 250. It was 30,000, now it is 29,750. What about your profit? This was your profit. Let's refresh. It has reduced by 250. So now you can see that we have 18 whatever, because you have that expense coming into this specific project. And even if you remove the project, clear everything, this is going to remain. So we are also capturing expenses per project, allowing you to get project profitability easily. So you can know which projects are making sense, which ones are making you losses, and therefore you need to close them or do whatever you want to do with them. Now, I need to show you something here. Direct sales is what brought us 30,000. Cost of goods sold took 27. Now here we have indirect expenses, which is travel. You see the one that we just added? This is what brought in this 250. And therefore the total expense, which is a debit, is 20,000. And now the net profit for this is 1844. So we are going to capture all expenses and all sales as they come. I don't want to make this video a movie, so I want to stop there. But definitely, if you are in the land business, I know this clicks with you deeply. So we are here, we are willing to serve you, we are willing to make sure that your business stands. And by your business standing, our business will also stand. So do not waste time. Grab your phone. I'm leaving my number below this video. Call me and let's discuss business.